Standing in the wake of this train wreck, my heart is beating faster in my chest. This depression terrifies me. When I'm awake, it's like these thoughts, they paralyze me. I don't wanna feel like this. I don't wanna feel like this. Time stops, weightless and cold. Silence burns like fire while my fears unfold. There's panic. Tooth to my cheek, too hard to speak without you. Lungs drained of air, life feels unfair without you. Come back to me, don't leave me to dream about you, dream about you, dream about you. How can I breathe without you? How can I breathe without you? Without you. What is left to say when the sky falls? I'm staring at your ghost in the stars. There's not a day that I don't miss you. The feeling swelling overflow, it's like I see you, hear you. I don't wanna feel like this. Why do I still feel like this? Heart ripped out of my brain. I sit here talking to myself. I think I'm going insane. Tooth to my cheek, too hard to speak without you. Lungs drained of air, life feels unfair without you. Come back to me, don't leave me to dream about you, dream about you, dream about you. How can I breathe without you? How can I breathe without you? The only way to fix this, the only way to fix this pain inside, the only way to fix this is a deep breath in as you say
I kick ass for the Lord.
What about me?
I never loved him the way that I love you. Just drops the mic.
Bit me with his butt.
Can't see it from here.
What about the panty?
What about the panty? What's up, Butters? I love it every time. It's a giggle moment for everybody. Welcome in, everybody. We're not watching Dead Poet Society, although we probably wish we would have watched Dead Poet Society. In fact, we are watching a different movie today. Welcome into 52/1993. My name is Cody. I'm joined by my co-host this week, Steven.
Hello.
Steven, how are you doing?
What's up, my dad?
What's up, my dad? You got your dad hat on. You look good.
Got my dad hat. Shout out to Covet, the band. They're my fave.
I don't have a favorite band hat right now, so I'd have to work on that.
Yeah, get on that.
Well, thanks for being here, and thanks for everybody that's tuning in and watching this. Hopefully, some of you, if some of you did, have seen this movie before. If not,
Oh, I hope you did.
I don't know how much you're going to enjoy this, but we're going to talk about it anyway, and then maybe we can talk about some other things that we actually do like. Maybe some other movies that we do like, but that's okay. That's the whole point of this thing, where we watch stuff that we've never seen before. We can't enjoy everything. I mean, what would be the point of enjoying everything if you didn't think things weren't good? So we'll go ahead and jump right into this. Have you ever had, before I start, had you ever seen this movie before? Is this a first time watch?
No, I knew it existed. I knew there was a Janet Jackson Tupac movie out there that I had seen clips from. I knew it existed, but this was my first watch through for sure.
And you're definitely going to watch it again.
I'm like, as soon as the stream's over, I'm probably going to put it like right back on.
Right back on. Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. This one was I put it on the list because it is that fabled Janet Jackson Tupac movie, and I want to see, two non-actors acting, and it's the second movie from John Singleton. I'll talk about that here in just a second. So let me go ahead and go through my whole spiel, and then we can get in our discussion about it.
Man.
I'll give you the spiel. The title of the movie, of course, is Poetic Justice. It came out on July 23rd, 1993. It was directed and written by John Singleton of Boys in the Hood fame. He went on to do several other things. Passed away, sadly, in 2019, but he definitely did some good things while he was here. And it stars Janet Jackson as Justice, terrible name. Tupac Shakur as Lucky, terrible name. Regina King as Isha. I thought it was Aisha, but it's definitely Isha after I watched it like two more times. Joe Torre, not the coach or baseball player. Joe Torre. This is Joe Torre playing Chicago. I know that can get confusing. Candy Alexander Simone. Maya Angelou's in here as Aunt June. Q-Tip makes an appearance. If you know who Q-Tip is from Tribe Called Quest, he plays Markel. And then there's also a weird cameo thing. They're basically the only white people in this movie. Billy Zane and Lori Petty are playing characters in a movie that they're watching at the drive-in theater. I think this our third Lori Petty? I don't know. It might be our second. But anyway, she's hot at this time. Like in the 90s, she's hot commodity. The synopsis for this movie is: still grieving after the murder of her boyfriend, hairdresser Justice writes poetry to deal with the pain of her loss. Unable to get to Oakland to attend a convention because of her broken down car, Justice gets a lift with her friend Isha and Isha's postal worker boyfriend, Chicago. Along for the ride is Chicago's co-worker, Lucky, to whom Justice grows close after some initial problems. But is she ready to open her heart again? Whatever. This movie had a budget of $14 million, and it had a box office return of $27.5 million. Rotten Tomatoes gives this score a 34%, and IMDb give it a score of 6.1 out of 10. Roger Ebert actually really liked this movie. After hating on Hocus Pocus last week, he liked this movie a lot. He said Boys in the Hood was one of the most powerful and influential films of its time in 1991. Poetic Justice is not its equal, but does not aspire to be. It is a softer, gentler film, more of a romance than a commentary on social conditions. Janet Jackson provides a lovable center for it, and by the time it's over, we can more clearly see how boys presented only part of the South Central reality. I get that. I like that. Singleton, this is another one. This is a more negative review. Singleton splatters his ambition all over the screen. He mixes up violence, romance, comedy, rage, and yes, poetry. Yet he barely demonstrates the discipline to shape a scene. That was a C- grade from Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly. And then just a little legacy for this film was nominated for one Academy Award, but that was for Best Song for the song Again by Janet Jackson. And yeah, so now let's talk about it some, because this movie definitely needs to be talked about. Initial thoughts on this movie from you?
I enjoyed the little clip of the Billy Zane movie and Lori Petty movie more than this entire movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If I'm being honest, like a lot of the language made me really uncomfortable. A lot of the yelling, the back and forth, it made me really uncomfortable. A lot of times, for instance, the scene where Aisha's like standing over by the cliff, like mad at Chicago. I thought for sure he was gonna like push her off the cliff. I just kept like waiting for something to happen, and it felt very slow. It felt like a lot of bad acting. I would agree with that second review. It was just like of an idea, and it felt that way. It felt that way. It was shout out Lori Petty, like you said. I think this is we had her in Free Willy for sure. Man, she was awesome in the Army Now. As soon as I saw her face, I was like, that's the lady from In the Army Now with Pauly Shore.
She's Kit from League of Their Own.
Man, she's awesome. Yeah. And then you got Billy Zane there at the beginning too. And I really thought like there was a strange start, right? Like when it started with Billy Zane and Lori Petty, I was like, this is not what I was expecting. Yeah. Like drinking wine, like having a fancy dinner. I was like, this is strange. I will say that you get like a quick Michael Rappaport. He's one of the only other white guys in the movie, like at the dock worker.
Yeah.
When I saw him, I was like, that guy. But yeah, it was a rough watch. I think just a lot of the language and a lot of the arguing and back and forth. I mean, I love It's Always Sunny, but this was a little too intense for me.
Yeah. I think I mean, I agree with you, and I struggled with this movie because of the language. And I'm not a prude. I'm not, I'm not somebody that's okay, but I different time, different culture. I just don't like this movie for 2023 eyes and ears for me. And this movie's probably not made for me. I don't know anything about the culture, or never claimed to be, or anything like that. So maybe
it's not even like a cultural thing, because you and I did I guess maybe you and I both are a little Charmin soft, but yeah. I enjoyed Menace to Society. I mean, a lot more, and the language was pretty intense in that, but there was some substance to that language, right? Like I just felt like these people were arguing. Maybe what made me so uncomfortable, it was like a little too real, of just like people arguing for half of the movie.
Yeah. So, and that's really what I think in the language towards the women in the movie,
the behavior in general, the way that women are treated in this movie altogether is like, whew, cringy town.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, I agree with the chat. The realness of the misogyny is represented fully in Poetic Justice, for sure. From early on at the drive-in, our first boyfriend's a little too aggressive. I would say not a little too aggressive, is is sexually harassing Janet Jackson from the get-go, like at the
Yeah.
drive-in, and that really sets the tone for the rest of the movie as far as females go.
Yeah. I agree. And yeah, in the chat, somebody, Spencer wrote the realness of the misogyny, probably. Yeah. Just saying that, like, yeah, I know this exists. And I know that people talk to people like this out there, but I guess I just wasn't ready for it in this movie, especially a movie that was sold to me as
A love story?
a love story, really. And I just did not feel it at all with this, and felt it was a little unnecessary, especially like the first hour of this movie. It's just pretty heavy.
Well, I would say even
With
till the very end, like not to spoil anything, but like before the ending of the movie, like one of the last things he says to you is like, I should have never messed with you, bitch, and this would have never happened. And then like he goes to the hair salon and everything's fine. And it's like, man, the ability for these people in this movie to go from like arguing very intensely to like everything's okay is a little unrealistic for me. And maybe it is a cultural thing, maybe it is a misogyny thing that I have not ever experienced, but it was a lot. It was a lot for an hour and a half of just
And I do think there are some funny moments in it, and I don't think that it's just as one-sided like I don't think that it is just men on women here. I the women talking to the men, it's hateful. It's there's a lot of age gap once they get to the there's like some age gap arguments and stuff there. Once you get to the family reunion, like you have the three older ladies talking about the new generation.
That's where Maya Angelou's in
Yes, she plays one of the aunts.
She gives the little spiel about how like this is why everything's messed up, is nobody teaches their kids what's right and wrong.
Right, which is such a I mean, we feel that today with like boomer culture and things like that.
Just to speak on what you said too, I feel like a lot of the reaction from the females in this movie, whether it's Janet Jackson or it's is it Regina, Aisha or Justice, it's like they get to a point where it's like they have to react like this because these men have gotten so out of control that they've got to stand up for themselves. And then the misogyny just goes further, at that point.
Yeah. And I think there are some other things in here, and I was talking about this with I think it was Spencer the other day. Like some plot points get completely missed because of all this other stuff that's thrown in. Like I didn't even remember that Aisha has like a drinking problem. Like that's kind of glanced on, like a couple times, and then you get to the that part at the like that stuff's missed. I feel like missed opportunities there because of some of this other just distraction in this movie, whether it's the fighting or the language or just the, hey, we're going to take this detour. We're going to do this thing. We're going to stop here and we're going to have fun. And like this movie just went all over the place for me. And I really just don't think that, Chicago's Random Rage, that is completely out of nowhere at the end of the movie. And not set up properly at all, in my opinion. But
I will say, like early on, I did one of the highlights of the movie, and this may come back up, is the really nice usage of the Isley Brothers Between the Sheets there at the drive-in, I believe, and then it switches to like a party, and I found that like there's a song, a version of where Between the Sheets is sampled by a tribe called Quest. It's called the Hootie Mix, which is also made very popular by Big Papa and Notorious B.I.G. Like I thought that was a cool transition. That's like probably the highlight of the movie, is like they go from this and then they go to like a more rap style of that. I really appreciated that. That was like from drive-in to house party.
Nice. Yeah, I would never have noticed that or thought about that. But this soundtrack is, a highly regarded soundtrack. I think there were 3 number ones off this soundtrack alone, and or ones that charted anyway off this soundtrack, and we can talk about a couple of those. But first, let's just go through some of the scenes that we're talking about. Let's go ahead and start with the opening scene, the drive-in, and how
what a terrible time to die.
And like, oh
man,
my
you're
God,
about to. I mean, 90s Janet Jackson is taking off clothes in the back seat of the car, and you get shot in the head. I mean, this is a terrible time to die.
It was, I mean, again, I don't know South Central, I don't know Compton, but we've seen Menace to Society. We know how, it's portrayed and how people fly off the handle, for something that somebody did, weeks ago, months ago, years ago, if just be wearing the wrong colors, like all these things, and people will fly off the handle, and, that's what happens.
Yeah.
He doesn't get beat up. He gets pulled up
They don't
shot
even
in the
say
head.
what he did. They're just like, oh, he was the one acting this, acting a little wild the other day when we was over here. Let's shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
In front of his girlfriend when he's about to get laid. Like, oh man.
And the fact that they just leave her, like, I get, like, they just shoot her.
That is a sad,
or don't shoot her, I mean.
When she's like, seeing him and everybody at the drive-in is just running away because they've heard gunshots. She's just stuck in the car with this dead body. That's
covered in blood.
Bummer, yeah, bummer town.
But yeah, going from that first scene where we see this white romantic movie on screen, and then to the stark contrast of just getting shot at the drive-in, and then it's like, okay, I don't know what movie we're being set up for.
Yeah, I mean, he like the chat said, he almost died doing what he loves. So
Janet Jackson. Yeah. It was definitely an interesting way to start a movie, but it's not as surprising as what we got with Menace to Society and how that movie started off. So but it's way different. I don't know, like what they did in Menace to Society is so much better than what happened here. And I don't want to, often, I mean, the comparison here is that they are talking about the same neighborhoods. Yeah. In that same South Central LA. So,
I mean, and we're maybe one of the main reasons I didn't care for it a lot is, I mean, we're 2 white dudes who live pretty privileged lives. And so, maybe it didn't land because of that, but at the same time, like kind of the seeing Janet Jackson, she clearly wants to get out, right? She's like doing hair, learns how to do hair, and she's trying to get out, but has no means. Mm-hmm. Like that's kind of my scene number 2, right? Is her getting in the car and the car won't start. Like she packs all her stuff up. She has this like long night where she's realizing I got to get out of here. Packs up the car won't start. That's like heartbreaking moment of the movie where she's like, I got to get out of here. I've got the means. Wait, no, I don't.
Yeah, that's a common theme from Boys in the Hood, from Menace to Society. We spent that whole time talking about Menace to Society, his inability to get out. He kept getting these different pathways to get out and just couldn't take them or wouldn't take them. So
I mean, and I've never gotten in the car to like get out of my crappy situation that I'm in, and my car doesn't start, and I'm actually like stuck there. So I feel for justice in this situation. But as I try to tell a lot of people that I talk to, you got to be careful who you put yourself around.
Yeah.
So what about you? What's your after the drive-in? What are you feeling on scenes?
I thought about putting the scene where they first meet Tupac in the salon, but I went even beyond that. Because I felt like all of the best scenes are gonna be after they get on the road and get moving. So my next scene, if you have something before this, let me know. But like where Tupac and Janet Jackson get in an argument in the front seat of the postal truck, which whatever. But and then he just says, "Get out," and drops her on
what
the
I
side of the
labeled
road.
as the fuck you scene.
Yes.
I tried to count it this time around. I couldn't keep up and I gave up. They say fuck you back and forth at least a dozen times a piece.
Yeah.
Like as he's kicking her to the curb. And you know, like Chicago and Aisha are in the back. So they don't even realize till they're down the road a ways. You know, and they're like, "Hey, wait!" Aisha's like, "Hey, where'd Justice go?" He's like, "I dropped her off back there." And you know, let's be honest,
like that's a perfectly normal reaction to have, is just to drop a human being off
because she
in
doesn't want
like
to talk
desert
to you.
California.
Yeah, like a stranger that's riding in your mail vehicle, your mail delivery truck in the front seat, who's been suckered into this trip basically because she's got nowhere to go. And now you're kicking her to the curb because she doesn't want to talk. She doesn't want to talk about how many siblings she has.
It's the equivalent of telling a woman to smile on the street and not getting the response. That's what I'm talking about with like the misogyny.
Tupac is
I just couldn't do it.
Asshole in this scene. It's just like, let her sit there in silence and drive your mail truck, bro. She doesn't want to be here. But instead, because she's a little sassy, because she's been drug on this trip, he drops her off on the side of the road in the middle of fucking nowhere.
And I don't even think he gets any of her backstory.
No.
And maybe later, but he doesn't know that her boyfriend's been murdered or why she's wanting to do all this stuff.
That feels right. 175 F-bombs. I mean, it is excessive in this scene.
Yeah. 175.
I mean, we're talking American History X level here for a few seconds in this movie. So, pretty like I think that was kind of my third scene. Is like once they got on the road, I called it the FU scene, where he kicks her to the curb, and then shortly after they're driving slowly beside her, trying to get her back in the truck.
Yeah, I wonder too in this scene if they were just like, "Hey Tupac, hey Janet, go ahead and improv an argument," kind of thing, because I doubt somebody would have written it like they did, because it did feel a little bit like. I mean, you get in an argument with somebody, maybe you're just like, fuck you, fuck you,
no,
fuck you. Yeah.
No, fuck you. It's like two little kids that can't come up with anything new. So they just say the same thing back and forth. But yeah, I think it eventually stopped beside her and Aisha gets out and kind of gets her back in to continue on with the trip.
Mm-hmm. What's your next scene?
The family reunion.
Oh, it's the gas station before this?
I think the gas station is before this.
I have the gas station. So let's talk about the gas station. That's I'll be honest. Like I like the family reunion just because of the whole like, hey, we're family thing, that we've seen in to get into wedding crashers, stuff like that. But the gas station scene might be my favorite scene because I feel like it is the most easygoing everybody is at all one time.
Yeah.
Like everybody just seems to be having their own. Chicago's talking with Tupac's character Lucky. Aisha's talking with Justice in the gas station. It's got some of my favorite lines. He talks like I almost expected there to be like a fight between Tupac and the redneck guy, but that never happened.
Yeah,
that felt like
talk about a scene where I was waiting for shit to hit the fan. It's like when she's like, "Hey, where's the old E?" and they're like, "Oh, they don't have that out here." I'm like, "Oh shit, something's about to happen." Like with all these white folks out here, and they're not used to not being in the city. Like this is about to go down here, and it's like you said, it's the most easygoing scene in the movie.
Yes, it's the best scene.
They're surrounded by racists, and everything's good now.
Exactly, like. The girls pick up these water pistols and like they're having fun and they're having a conversation. Like they're talking about how Chicago is just like paying for Aisha to do all this stuff, but
I mean,
they're
like,
having
she
sex,
even
so
walks
that's okay.
Out of the gas station with like the gun behind her back, and it's like even kind of slow mo. I was like, somebody's getting shot. This is about to something's about to happen. Nope, they're back in the mail truck. And
what a weird gas station too, where there's only one pump per thing. Like, so when
And he
Tupac
takes
tricks the
the
truck
pump
driver,
from the guy. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
I thought that guy was gonna come at him, pull a gun or something, but no, nothing
yeah,
happened.
nothing. They're just
So-
next shot. They're back in the truck down the road.
exactly. So it's a brief scene, but I really liked that scene
Yeah.
because it was easygoing, and I really liked that. But yeah, let's talk about the family reunion scene.
Yeah,
So you go ahead.
They drive by a family reunion. They're like, look at all those black folks. Let's stop. I think that's what he says. It's like, wow. Like he says, like, I've never seen so many black people in the same place. So they stop. Oh, and they're smelling the barbecue from down the road. They stop. They kind of, you know, blend in, get some yeah.
It's on my list. It's on my list.
Yeah. They blend in, get some food, and you know, in the drive at this point, Aisha started that when they stopped at the gas station. Aisha got some. They didn't have Old English. They didn't have 40s, so she got some gin. Started mixing it with the lemonade, and so by the time they're to the family reunion, she's drunk. She's drunk.
She's toasted. Yeah.
I mean, and what's interesting, it sucks to be Aisha, like when you're on this long road trip, you know, to Oakland, and you're just sitting in the back of a mail truck and your boyfriend doesn't want to drink. You know, like poor Aisha. Everybody's like, everybody's pointing the finger like, oh, she's got a problem. She's sitting in the back of a mail truck on a road trip. She can't have a little drink. But it does cause problems at the family reunion when Chicago was elsewhere. Oh yeah, got him a Miller Lite at the gas station.
A 2x4, nonetheless, not even higher than 24 ounces.
Yeah. But yeah, Aisha starts flirting with another gentleman at the family reunion as Tupac and Chicago are digging into some food. I kind of like the guy. I like the guy that plays like the head of the family reunion. Yeah, he's good. He does well.
He's good.
But yeah, then a fight breaks out and they gotta go. You know, like, and one of my favorite things is Tupac being like, "Hey, can I get a plate for the road?"
Yes, I was hoping you were gonna say that. Yes. Before he even goes over to break up the fight, he's like, "Can I get some for the road?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, no problem." This is the scene where we get, you know, Maya Angelou and the other two aunts, however you want to pronounce it, just talking about this generation and, you know, talking about Aisha. This is what tips Justice off that Aisha's acting a fool.
Yeah.
And even like when she goes over there to talk to Aisha, she's like, you know, Chicago's gonna, you know, beat your ass or whatever
drunk,
for this.
She don't care.
She don't care, and she doesn't like Chicago.
Sipping on gin and juice.
She doesn't even like Chicago, as we learn. She's gonna dump him anyway. Yeah. So, yeah, family reunion scene was. Whenever I saw reviews online, I saw a lot of people talk about, oh, this was a really cool scene, or this was a, you know, one to take away. It was fine.
It was all right. It was all right. I mean,
it was all right.
I had a hard time coming up with my favorite scenes, and this was one that stuck out as like, I mean, I want to be as politically correct as possible here, but like, I wish I felt the same thing driving by a group of family reunion gathering white people. I wish I felt the same way. It's like, oh, family reunion. Let me stop by. They're white.
I don't even like going to my own family reunion.
How much money would somebody have to pay you to just like go to somebody's random family reunion? Food's probably going to be mediocre. Conversation's going to be mediocre. I'm going to keep going down the road. So.
Right. So they found that they found that family reunion, and then they also found like what was like a African carnival, like African history carnival kind of thing. That was random.
Yeah, really. I mean,
to find on the side of the road.
#forced. I think #forced is like,
yeah.
I mean, you were just at the like only white people gas station, but now there's like a very, very like African heritage based carnival.
Yeah, that was
Forced.
Interesting.
Forced.
I looked it up. It's about 5.5 hours from South Central LA to Oakland. But I don't know what's in between there. I'm not a West Coaster. I don't know what's, what the land is like
I
out
got
there.
nothing.
I got nothing
Yeah.
either. Anybody know? No. What's your next scene?
Let's see. I'll say that I really like the self-reflection scene where
Mhm.
they're all narrating while looking at each other. And Aisha's like, I'm gonna break up with him when we get back. And Chicago's like, I don't need her. And Tupac's kind of like, ooh, I kind of like her. And Janet Jackson's like, I'm not sure about him. I like the self-reflection on the
Yeah.
kind of beachish scene, right? This is before we
Yeah.
pull off.
Yeah, where they're sitting at the beach
Yeah.
and they
This
pull
is the
off.
first beach. This is before Tupac
Yes.
like randomly pulls off at a beach. But this is the first beach where all four of them are all still together, and they're like,
Mhm.
I wrote it down as the self-reflection because they're all just kind of like thinking out loud in the movie. So I liked that scene.
Yeah. The next scene I had written down was the blow up scene, the Chicago and Aisha blow up scene, which
That is my final. That is my final
Yeah.
as what I have labeled as the nut kick scene.
I like the way you label your scenes.
Yeah, the nut kick scene. I really thought he was gonna push her over the cliff. I mean, it was set up. She's like on the edge of the cliff, like I'm mad, and he's
Yeah.
walking up behind her, and I'm like, oh my god, he's definitely gonna.
Yeah, that's
He's like, I'm sick of this woman. Boom, he's gonna push her for sure. Nope. Instead, he ends up hitting her, which is, I mean, I think this is like peak discomfort in the movie when a man hits, like, no matter what she's saying in that scene, when he full on like throws a punch and punches a woman, I was like, okay. And then Tupac's like, it's not my business. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm like, okay, nah, this is not realistic anymore. I think most human men that I know, human beings that I know, if they see a woman get punched in the face by a man, are going to react. And luckily, justice takes care of things.
Yeah. I don't like obviously this is an important scene in the movie. The part that like the fact that Chicago is so quick to violence here after not showing any of that, kind of being a little bit softer throughout the whole movie. Like he was always, all about his brush and making sure he looks good, and like just talking about how excited, his relationship with
To the
Aisha.
point that Tupac even tells him to check her at one point, and he's like, "Nah, man, chill out."
Yeah, it just seemed so out of nowhere and out of character.
I think
for
he
him
just
to
bubbled
do that.
over, man. He's been just getting screamed at the whole movie, and getting like talked down to. And we've got to talk about, like, man, once you hit that nerve, right? When you're like, yo, even your dick doesn't work right.
Right.
I think maybe that's what made him bubble over, man. I think he was like, you're not going to talk about my penis like that.
Yeah.
But not excusable.
Tupac does react once he sees Justice get in there.
Justice gets in the mix, then he decides to step up.
Then he comes in there and he corrects him, and then just leaves him there. Pulls that famous Tupac move where he just leaves people on the side of the road.
I mean, and I also think at this point,
so. I mean,
it's much more reasonable, right?
Yes.
You just hit a woman in front of me, walk 15 miles.
Yeah.
Decent consequences for this. I mean, like, definitely should go to jail, but also walk 15 miles back to Oakland and then go to jail. But yeah, I like the way that he finally steps in, but I think he should have stepped in much sooner. Much sooner. Whether he's Tupac or any male out there. I think I think even you, Cody, man, you're pretty, like, you dodge the conflict of, like, you and my brother more than anybody in my life will dodge a conflict, and my wife will dodge a conflict. But I think you see a woman get punched in the face and you're going to step up. Like, I think my brother is going to step up, like, which is funny to think about. My brother being like, hey, don't do that. But man, yeah. Maybe most men suck. I don't know. Maybe most males suck, but I think that was when that was his opportunity, right? When Justice was like, "Hey, man, aren't you going to do something about this?" That's when he could be like, "Yes, I am going to do
Especially
something.
since
I'm going to break the cycle and not let my friend beat up on a woman." And he's like, "That's not my business." Not cool. Not cool.
Not cool.
Tupac's an asshole throughout this movie. He doesn't deserve to end up with Janet Jackson.
I bet your brother would be just like Tupac.
Joseph in the truck, like, it's not my business.
If he doesn't watch it, he'll end up just like Tupac right now.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. I mean, I don't have anything else beyond this scene. We could talk about the random, death of his cousin that makes him mad at Janet Jackson because he should have been there sooner, even though
so he could be dead too. Yeah.
So he could be dead too. Like, yeah, whatever. Is there did we miss any other scenes? I mean, they get together at the end in a very like, hey, I've hated you because of this whole thing. And then all of a sudden I'm going to show up and just, we're going to be good. And we're going to raise this child together and all this stuff.
I mean, if he is alive and well and hiding, then,
he probably faked it because he didn't want people to go back and revisit this movie.
I was about to say he probably is alive and well and hiding from this movie.
All right. I don't see anything else we can talk about. Let's talk about who is your favorite character.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I really I'm gonna go kind of for a deep cut, as I felt like one of the best fitting characters in the entire thing, in the entire hour and a half of this, was an actor referred to as Tone Loc.
Tone Loc.
Tone Loc. Yeah. He is also in Blank Check.
I was about to say that's Juice, man.
He is my scene stealer. He is my and also Lori Petty. Yeah. Other than that, I have nothing to say about any of the acting in this movie at all.
Okay.
I hated the rest of it.
I said that out of both of these, I think I liked Aisha. I like Regina King, and I think she's doing what she needs to do in this movie.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah. She's not like, I'm not like love that character because of just how she, acts and everything, but she's acting really well for that character.
I would say
she's really good.
Realistic. One of my favorite quotes, not to jump ahead, but one of my favorite quotes from her is, "Let me out of here or I'll pee on your ass." When she's like trying to get out to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I felt like that was some shit that I would say. Like if you don't let me out when I really gotta pee, let me out of here. I'm gonna pee on you.
I'm gonna pee on your ass.
I completely agree with that. Like she would be my number 2.
Yeah. I also liked parts of Lucky.
I would agree with I like the bougie haired salon owner as well. I forget her name, but
there seemed to be again, just with this movie, it seemed like we had some drama with her and she was an important character, but she was
just like the other 2 hairstylists. I want to know about that phone call. That's just
and then we don't hear anything about it, and it's result. It has nothing to do with the movie. It has nothing to do with the movie.
Only in the final scene are they both like, "Don't you fucking look at me," they're just still bickering, no resolve.
Yeah, I think I think it was supposed to be a storyline about AIDS because AIDS was a hot button topic at that time, and obviously, it was just a popular thing, and I think that was the intention with that, but obviously we're left to draw our own conclusions, and it has nothing to do with the movie. I just thought that was stupid.
bad.
Yeah. All right. Give us some. This movie is quotable, though. I got some very funny quotes, and I'm sure I missed a ton of quotes because I think I don't have the Punani quote down here. But give me some of your quotes that you wrote.
I only
down.
have a few. I mean, it is very quotable for sure, but I only decided to give a few of them credibility. I already said one, which is the "Let me out of here, I'll pee on your ass." I also like "Come here." Like I like the callback of "Come here, baby, I want to whisper something to you."
Mm-hmm.
I like that quote. There's one time that Chicago and Aisha are arguing, and she said, he's like, why don't you like me or something like that. It's just because you ain't a beautiful motherfucker. That made me laugh out loud.
Yes.
Your dick is the motherfucking problem.
That's a good one.
That was a good one too. Very early on in the hair salon when Aisha and Justice are interacting, Aisha says, "I'd tell your business too if you had something to tell."
Ooh, yeah.
I thought that was good. But that's basically it. I mean, there's some good ones along the way. I'm sure you got some good ones.
Justice at one point says, "I'm a phenomenal woman, phenomenal woman. That's me." I really like that. I think that was
one of her poems. Yeah,
that was one of her poems. I like that, which is written by, why am I blanking?
Is it Maya?
Maya Angelou. Yeah, Maya Angelou. Sorry, which was written by Maya Angelou. I like that. I thought that's a really good line. Some of my funnier lines that I wrote down is one time Chicago is talking. This is before they pick up the girls, or right when they're picking up the girls. Chicago's talking to Lucky in the car. He's talking about, I think he's talking about another woman. And he's saying that she said she's from Ethiopia. And he says, "How could she tell me she's from Ethiopia and have a kid named Lamar?" I thought that line was funny.
I almost wrote that one down.
And have a kid named Lamar. I think this one comes up after the fight scene is obviously like the Tupac Janet Jackson fight scene. She's getting back in the truck and she says something to him with the F word. And he says, as a call, or not a call back, but as a reference to Gone with the Wind, famous romance, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a fuck." I love that line. It's so good. And he delivers it like so pompous.
Yeah.
I love it. "Bring me some Cheetos and a 40. I love that line.
Yeah.
And then Garth Brooks, he's slamming, right?
Arguably the best line in the movie.
I love Garth Brooks. He's slamming, right?
He's slamming, right?
Good for Garth Brooks getting the shout out. Oh, yes. I forgot about this one. "Next time you kiss your man, just know you're tasting my pussy." That girl at the end. Again, another random scene that has nothing to do with the movie. Like the overall story.
I mean, even
it's like the
thing that they do when Tupac first comes into the salon, he's like, "You want to smell my punani?" And then the owner's like, and Tupac's like, "You need a breath mint."
He said, "You need a breath mint, bitch." Yeah.
Yeah. Odd.
It's a weird one. All right. Biggest laugh, cry, scare, thrill.
Man, I got a kick out of the nut kick. Like, because I
the nut kick.
As Justice is approaching Chicago after punching Aisha, like, what's she gonna do? Like this guy's, he just punched a woman in the face. What's she gonna do? And then like the close up of like crotch and the foot coming underneath, and then the like, now I'm mad.
Yeah.
Like that was probably my biggest laugh out loud moment. I would say there was some genuine feel to her hopping in the car and it not starting, because it's like, I know I need to get out of here and I can't. That hurt a little bit for sure.
I put like scare slash like feel was just that beginning scene when her boyfriend's killed, like her sitting in the back, that part where she's sitting in the back, just
covered
awful.
in blood.
Covered in blood. And I also put when Lucky's cousin is killed, but I also didn't care. Like nobody made me care that he died in that scene.
Really?
Like I almost didn't even know who it was. When they rolled up, I was like, who is this?
And how laughable too for him to be like, hey, don't sell all his stuff. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
Just give it to me.
I'll make something of it.
I'll do with it what he wanted done with it. So yeah, give it to me.
Fun fact, I'll go. The rap songs that you hear were actually Coolio.
Yeah. Coolio.
Yeah, so I thought
it was really, there was this really odd moment where he's listening to Coolio and also strings that don't match up at all are playing in the background.
Yeah.
And he's crying. And that's when I was like, I am done with this movie. Y'all are playing two songs at the same time. Everybody knows that's a no-no.
Yeah, that was rough. Yeah. Did Lucky have a great career? Is he truly lucky? Who knows? What's your most
Lucky to Tupac after this movie?
Yeah, that's what happened. What do you think is the most ridiculous moment of the movie?
Most ridiculous moment of the movie. God. Chicago and Aisha having sex in the back of a mail truck.
Yes. That's a good call. That's a good call.
And then her just like immediately shitting on him for busting quick. I mean, I just
my ridiculous moment is Lucky, of course, blaming Justice for messing around and making him late, and he should have been there for the death, even though he made them stop.
And then for the third time, just pulls off. I'm gone.
Yeah, just pulls off. Like,
yeah, I'm gone.
And then he's gonna blame her. No, give me a break.
Yeah,
I was so mad at that. I was so mad.
Listen, you can
and
drop
then she
me
just
off.
takes him back.
You can kick me out of the mail truck one time, but you ain't kicking me out of the mail truck 2 times, or I'm not messing with you no more, Tupac.
Also, does the United States Postal Service know that he is taking this truck cross country to do that? Like, who is gonna, in their right mind, gonna let you drive? I guess if Michael Rappaport
is in charge, maybe.
Maybe. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to the best music moment. I figured you would probably have some highlights here. I've got 2 things to bring up, but you go for it.
I mean, Janet's song at the end is strong, and I already mentioned my other one. I thought that the Isley Brothers to Tribe Called Quest switchover was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that my only other one that I would say besides those is Get It Up, which is by TLC when they leave for the road trip. I really like that song, and I think that's a good transition for them to like getting on their way. The only other thing I added was that on this soundtrack, there's a song called Call Me a Mac by a 14-year-old Usher Raymond. And I don't know where it is played in the movie. But it's definitely one of the more popular songs on the soundtrack. So check that out if you want.
Yeah, I remember thinking like, what a sexy song for the beginning of a road trip, for sure. It was like really setting the tone for this misogyny, with TLC.
Yes. With TLC, Tender Love and Care.
Oh yeah.
I don't love this, but obviously Janet's got it going on in this movie, right?
Oh yeah, she's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I did not decide to play Fuck, Marry, Kill this week. I was going to play Fuck, Marry, Kill with the 3 aunts, but they were barely in the movie. And who's not going to get with Maya Angelou? Let's be honest. Who do you think gave the best performance in this movie?
I mean, You kind of nailed it already. I feel like Aisha, like she just was very fitting. I feel like Janet did a decent job. I really liked um the tone. What would you say his name is? Tone Loke. I
Tone
feel like
Loc.
he was
Yeah.
a good, like, such a brief role, but it was very fitting. Um, but yeah, Aisha's character, Regina killed it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Aisha Regina King is obviously the best actress and has continued to be a very good and successful actress. I had Tupac in here because there was something again, like there's something about Tupac that I do think I agree with Chat. I think Tupac acted a circles around Janet. She had some good moments, but not as consistent. Tupac just had this like charm in some of the
Yeah,
way that he delivered lines that I was like, he's got something. If he could figure it out, he could have, been
if he could hone it
a
in,
dual
I think
threat kind of guy.
better script,
Yes.
better storyline, and I think Tupac could have been a decent actor for sure.
Yeah. And
Definitely better than
cut,
Janet.
life cut
Definitely
too
better than
short.
Janet.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Recast. If you could recast this, lead characters only. If you did it, great. If you didn't, that's fine. I like to, for everybody out there, it's a 1993 recast. If there were people that might have been better at the time for this movie, probably. And then a 2023 recast of just today's actors and see who we like. So I only did 2023 and I didn't love
Okay.
it.
I've got one that I picked for Regina, for Aisha's character. I
Okay.
think a young Wanda Sykes could have been really
Mm-hmm.
sassy
Yeah.
in Aisha's character. Maybe a little older.
That's the
She could have
fun
been
one.
like an older
Yeah.
friend instead of like same age. She could have been the older friend that only by like 5-10 years. I think she could have pulled it off. Especially
Yeah.
Wanda Sykes was pretty. She hasn't only recently had started to look old to me. So I think she in her
Mhm.
young years could have pulled it off.
And Janet was like, I want to say she was almost like 10 years older than Tupac in this movie. I think he's
Yeah.
like young, like 25, 26.
Yeah.
No, and I think Janet's 33 or 32 in this movie, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, the only other
but-
person I thought
yeah.
about, and this shows the limited, like black actors that I've experienced, back to our, like my experience and so much of my life being just flooded with only white actors. That
Mhm.
a young Denzel came to mind. Like I think he
Mhm.
at times has played a better, like a really good hard character in his older years. So I'd have been interested to see what that was like in his younger years. Obviously, with Wanda
Yeah.
and Denzel, they're kind of an older age range, but I don't think that matters so much in this movie. So
No, I don't think the age is that important in this at all, because I
I
feel
want
like
to know your 2023
they are
because
kind of all over the place.
I didn't do any 2023s. So
Okay. So my 2023, I kind of went with the same formula. I was like, I'm going to get an R&B singer and I'm going to get a rapper to be in these roles. So I was thinking either one of the Bailey sisters, Chloe or Hallie, or Haley, however, Halle Bailey, that's her name. She's the Little Mermaid. Chloe's her sister, who's mostly a singer. I would actually like to see Chloe in this role. Because I think she kind of fits more with the Janet Jackson vibe. And for the rapper ones, I also, it's really hard too, because a lot of rappers now have, they're like face tats galore, and like Tupac wasn't like that. He had tats, but he wasn't like nothing face tattoos or anything like that. So I was thinking of, and he was kind of like a fashion icon person at the time too, and stuff like that. So I was thinking like A$AP Rocky, Travis Scott would be on the list.
Man,
For
A$AP
Lucky,
Rocky.
I thought those might actually be. I really like the ASAP. I think Chloe Bailey, ASAP Rocky is my number 1 and 2 there.
Man, I would
I
watch
also thought it might be cool to have
a remade poetic. Good gracious, a
Dead Poetic
Justice
Society Justice
remake. If you could get those two to play the roles, man, I would totally watch an
Yeah.
ASAP Rocky Poetic Justice.
Yeah, I thought that would be good. The only other one that I thought about for this might be a fun pool, just because his dad was offered the role. So Ice Cube was actually offered the role of Lucky first, and he thought he said, or he was doing something else at the time and couldn't do it. But I thought maybe his son O'Shea Jackson Jr. could do it. He's been acting for in some movies, so I thought he would be actually pretty good in it. Aisha is my favorite for this though, because I thought Keke Palmer is just perfect for the role of Aisha. I think she would knock it out the park. So,
Agreed.
Also, I read somewhere that Ice Cube did not take the role because he didn't think it was believable for a guy to fall in love with a girl within just a day or two. And so that the whole reason of this movie. And I thought that's pretty good and pretty funny. So
yeah.
Yeah, so that's my recast, the Chloe Bailey, ASAP Rocky, Keke Palmer film. So
Man, I love it.
Let's put them in. Let's make it happen.
I'll watch it.
All right. Fun facts. Did you know? Did you do any research for this movie, or were you?
I did. I couldn't really.
The
only things that have already been mentioned, like her winning or being nominated for her song in this, I couldn't find a whole lot. Did you find some good stuff?
I found a couple things. Obviously, some of them we've already touched on. I just touched on the Ice Cube being
the
offered
Ice
the role
Cube
of Lucky,
thing I saw.
the poetry.
Well.
The poetry that Justice writes is all written by Maya Angelou. The one thing that I really stuck out to me was, according to Tupac Shakur, Janet Jackson requested that he have an AIDS test before his kissing scene with her, which was going to lead into a love scene. And this is true. They've now come back to this a couple times because AIDS again, very.
It's so funny too because in the movie, she says like after they hook up on the beach, they get back in the truck, and pretty quickly he's like, "I gotta tell you something," and she's like, "You didn't give me anything, did you?"
Yeah, and he's like, "No, I got a kid."
I can't have
kind
AIDS.
of upset
I got
about
a kid.
Like, I got a kid. But yeah, she made it because she knew how popular, or she knew that he had sex with a lot of women, or at least claimed to have had sex with a lot of women. So she was very much like, we're not getting anywhere close to each other. And again, we just didn't have the knowledge of how you got AIDS and and things during this time. So yeah, that was the only. There was also an altercation on the set that between Tupac and some extra, or I think it was an extra, where they said that he flashed a Crip sign at him at a blood, or vice versa. No, it's Crip to blood, and yeah, gang stuff, and it had to be broken up by the director, and then Maya Angelou like talked Tupac down, which I think is a really cool story.
I mean, if you're gonna get talked down
again,
by
it did not end in the. You'd want it to be Maya Angelou, exactly.
Maya.
All right, I want you to say one good thing about the movie. If you can't say anything nice, but let's say something nice about this movie.
I will say that the music was good. I did a good job.
Okay. There we go.
Another piece of the music that I haven't mentioned is like, I want to say there's like almost a full 5-minute chunk where like Kenny G's saxophone is just like in the background. I didn't hate that. I didn't hate it.
I love some sax.
especially when
Sax,
it's got
morning sax,
that
afternoon
Kenny
sax.
G, like,
It's very sexual,
oh
very
yeah,
sensual. Okay. So, I think I've said it enough. I think we saw glimpses of a star in Tupac, and just mostly with his charisma and stuff, and some of the line delivery. I think he really had it, and we missed out on some opportunities. But
yeah.
that was it for me on
Some
that.
better
one.
directing, and I mean,
Um,
Tupac really, I feel like,
Yeah.
steals the show, the whole movie.
Yeah. I just wish it were consistent. Like him, like it's just like flashes, just like all the scenes in this movie. It's all just
Yeah.
flashes of things. Okay, if you could pair this movie with another movie for a double feature, what would you choose?
I mean, it kind of got just said in the chat, but I was thinking a Tupac double feature, because Juice is not great either, in my opinion. So, like, might as well just do a Tupac double feature and let it all be just Tupac for Tupac's sake, because as far as I know, wasn't in any good movies.
Yeah, I the only other Tupac role I know is he was in a brief. He used to roll around with Digital Underground, and they are in the movie Nothing But Trouble, but it is a terrible movie as well. So he's barely in it. He's just a background
I
person.
mean, Juice is. I will agree.
The only other one,
Spencer, like, Juice is not as bad as this movie is, but Juice is, like, when you compare Juice with the new Spider-Man or Eternal Sunshine or Everything Everywhere All at Once, like, it doesn't. These are terrible movies, and so if you were just wanting to have like a terrible movie marathon, Juice and Dead Poet. I mean, honestly, let me backtrack here. I would say, might as well full send it. Watch Poetic Justice and then watch Snowpiercer, because they're two of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
wow, throwing darts at Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
I don't love that, but hey, everybody's got their opinion, and they're right to it. I like Snowpiercer, but that's a different
Jamie
story.
Kennedy has put out better quality films, and that says a lot. So,
wow,
I think I'd rather
this
watch
is a hot
Malibu's
take, I will
Most
say.
Wanted.
Wow. Wow. I am bamboozled. I chose Boys in the Hood, of course, as like a stark contrast of these two movies, both John Singleton films, just Boys in the Hood, and obviously just the contrast. But I had a little bit more fun with it, and I decided to look into dramatic road trip movies with some fun parts in there in between. So I chose Little Miss Sunshine or Rain Man to pair with this movie.
I mean, I think that was in the chat early on. Is that like love a good road trip movie? So I like that you went that route with it. And Little Miss Sunshine is one of
I've also
all-time favorites. So I love that you went that direction.
Yeah. I also have a great road trip movie going on behind me. Most people can't tell what it is, but it is a Goofy movie. So if you want to do a feature with this and a Goofy movie, go for it.
Man, maybe we should add
what would you give it?
Add that to the future list. Road trip movie rankings.
Road trip movies. I like that. This movie would not be ranked,
including Road Trip.
Euro Trip, Road Trip, they're all in there.
Oh, Goofy movie.
Goofy movies up there. What's your rewatchability rating on this?
0.
Okay. I put 1 as 1, but 0 is the exact same equivalent. What did you give it overall?
Few movies would earn such a ranking, but overall, I give it a 1.
Okay. I gave it 2 stars, and reluctantly, but I gave it 2 stars. So, That's it. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, man, I
I'm
don't
going
mean
to
to
ask
be
you for
too.
movie recommendations.
I don't mean to be too negative. I do enjoy watching bad movies as well. You know, like obviously there's the great
Right,
movies
right.
out there. I'd like watching great movies, but it is fun to put on something knowing that it's not going to be outstanding. And I think just the synopsis of this one, and I knew what I was
Mhm.
in for. Especially like, you know, if Tupac had been an incredible actor, we'd have heard about it. We'd have
Yeah.
heard about it because we've heard about his rapping, and it was so.
Yeah. So,
Hot take.
all right. Well,
Hot take.
hot take. I love it. I love the hot takes.
Yeah.
So again, Stephen, thank you for that. Have you watched anything recently that you wanted to tell people that they should go watch?
I haven't. I really haven't. I've been a little unhealthy. I've been a little sick the last couple weeks since I was on last time, and also had some people visiting. Been busy with work and stuff like that. Just to kind of continue on the negative streak that I'm on right now, I would say that the new live action Little Mermaid was awful. I would watch the cartoon version in reverse before I would watch the new one because it has nothing to do with colors of anything. What it comes down to is a real crab Sebastian ruined it. It ruined it. It ruined it. They were so lazy across the board in that movie, from cutting songs, adding terrible songs, not having enough characters sing songs. Should have never been released. So that's the one I've been to see recently that I would be okay with if it didn't exist.
Okay. So that's a non-recommendation, but
What about you? Have you seen
I love
anything?
it. I love it. I've watched a few movies recently, some new ones that I had not seen before. One movie I think I've talked about to a couple people, but it's called Sanctuary. It just came out this year. It is about two people are in it. And it takes place in a hotel room, and um, it's basically about a guy who hires a woman to be. She's a dominatrix,
Ooh.
and she essentially uh, blackmails him into making her like part of his company, or giving her money to keep her mouth shut about the relationship that they have. And it is such good just acting back and forth between them, and had like this weird relationship that they have, this power dynamic that they have. Very good movie, with some really good people, or the two stars in it are really good. I really like that movie. And then I watched Asteroid City this past Friday, and I really want other people to watch it so I can talk about it, because
I cannot wait to talk to you about it in our private lives. It's part of the reason I think I hated The Little Mermaid with such great passion is that I wanted to see Asteroid City instead,
Mhm.
or The Blackening, or any other movie that was in the theater, basically. But
Yeah.
I will say, you know, to end on a high note from my side of things, I will say that as much as I cannot explain why I love it so much, Is It Cake's new season is on Netflix, and it will consume you until it's over. Because I don't know what's so great about that show. If I tried to describe it to somebody who'd never seen it, it would sound really boring, but it keeps you enthralled throughout. Yeah, yeah. Season 2 of Is It Cake? That host needs a raise. That host carries that show. It's incredible. Mikey.
And by the end of it, you'll
Uh-oh. I can't even hear you anymore. Can you hear me? I'm the host of this show now. And that's going to be it for this week of 52/1993. My name is Steven Sawyer, and that right there is Cody Waits, and we're best friends. Watch lots of good movies. There's another one coming next week. I don't know what it is because I haven't looked at the list, but if you could hear that guy, he would be able to tell you what it is. So watch all the movies, and then maybe you'll watch the one that we're watching next week.
Hear me now.
I can hear you.
There it is, baby.
Oh, yeah.
You did such a good job, though. I think I'm going to leave it on that.
Technical difficulties.
That's right. Check out next week's movie. It's Rising Sun. It's streaming on Max. It is an action movie with Wesley Snipes and Sean Connery. We'll be here next week doing that. Come back, talk to us, and thank you, Stephen, for closing out the show.
Rising Sun.
We are best friends.